Alright guys, what is up, and I'm coming at you with another deck profile for Volcanics. Yeah, the deck a lot of people are playing because of the new support card, just that one card that came out in Secrets of Eternity. I always get that and Secret Forces mixed up, but that one card is what brought them up to like tier 1 status, which is crazy, which just shows you how crazy the game of Yu-Gi-Oh is right now. One card can bring back an old archetype to be like this ridiculous deck. But basically what this deck is, just turbo burn is all it is burn your opponent, and just do all kinds of crazy stuff. But this is the deck I took with me in regionals. Now this isn't the exact build, and I will tell you what I did take out after regionals just from testing and just some shenanigans and just doing some other stuff. But I'll get into that later. So first off, you're of course going to play 3 copies of Volcanic Rocket. The main reason you play him is because whenever he's summoned, normal, flip, or special, you can grab a Blaze Accelerator from your deck to your hand. It basically just searches out your Blaze Accelerator reload. And plus he's a 1900 beat stick, which is really, really good. The next 3 Volcanic Scattershot, what he does is whenever he's sent to the graveyard, your opponent takes 500 damage, but the fact that makes him really good is whenever he's sent by the effect of a Blaze Accelerator card, you can send 2 more from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then the other 2 do another extra 500 damage, and then destroy a monster your opponent controls. So if you send this to the graveyard with your Blaze Accelerator reload, Blaze Accelerator's effect is that you can send a Volcanic to the graveyard to draw 1. So you get to draw 1 card, Regeki your opponent's field, and burn them for 15, which is just insane. So it's really, really cool. And 3 copies of Volcanic Shell. He's just fodder. You send him to the graveyard with your Blaze Accelerator. If he gets in the hand to draw 1, then you can pay 500, add another one to your deck. From your deck to your hand, so he's just kind of there to help keep your hand refilled, which is alright. And then only 1 copy of Volcanic Counter. Some people play him at 2, some people play him at 3. I just kind of prefer him at 1. He just kind of puts your opponent under pressure, because if they do battle damage to you, you can banish them from the graveyard, and then your opponent takes damage equal to the battle damage you took, and if you have more than 1, it stacks. So that's one reason I'm thinking of bumping this guy to 2, but for now I'm just kind of comfortable with him at 1. And then lastly, some people play him, some people don't, but I really like playing this guy, and that is none other than Volcanic Doomfire, the cover card for Force of the Breaker, the pack that Volcanics came out in. Now originally I was playing Blaster, which is alright. Whenever he's banished, you do get to add a fire monster from your deck to your hand whenever Blaster's banished. But I either have to tribute, which in most cases I didn't want to tribute, and then I have to or banish stuff from my hand or graveyard, which you really don't want to do that. You want to keep your stuff circulating between your graveyard, hand, and your deck, just to kind of float stuff, because basically this is a turbo burn, and half the stuff in here is floaters, really. But Doomfire, his effect is that he can't be North Summer set, he has to be special summoned by sending a Tri-Blaze Accelerator from your field to the graveyard, which Blaze Accelerator Reload's effect is that its name was always treated as Tri-Blaze Accelerator, so that makes it really easy to get this guy out, because originally you'd have to, like, before Blaze Accelerator came out, you'd have to activate normal Blaze Accelerator, send it to the graveyard if it didn't get destroyed, just set it up Tri-Blaze Accelerator, and then wait until you get Doomfire in your hand. But his effect is that your opponent must attack him with all attack position monsters they control if able. And then when he destroys a monster by battle, it destroys all monsters your opponent controls and does 500 for each. So it's basically a big scatter shot where they have to attack it, and he has 3,000 attacks, so you can basically blow up their field and do 500 for each, and they also take the battle damage from him as well. So that's really cool, and I really wish I would have played him at regionals, because a lot of people, they just have trouble playing around it, because he can just destroy stuff and do 500, or they have to attack it, which is crazy. And then for the non-volcanic monsters, of course, 3 Royal Firestorm Guards. It's a pot of avarice. You shuffle 4 Pyros back into the deck and draw 2 cards, which is really good. Just helps you get a little more draw power, recycle your graveyard. Just awesome. And then lastly, 2 Summoner Monks. Now moving on to the spells. I'm only playing 2 copies of Pot of Duality. I was playing 3, but 2 just seems right, because 3 was really cloggy at regionals, because in some cases I'd play 1, and then I'd actually, a couple times, actually drew another Pot of Duality off my first Pot of Duality, which really bugged me. And plus the other stuff I didn't really get was too helpful in that situation, but it just helps you get stuff. Pretty self-explanatory card. 1 Foolish Burial, because send stuff to the graveyard, like your Shell, your Scatter Shot, but most of the time you want to send Scatter Shot with Blaze Accelerator so you can blow up your opponent and burn for 15. Then 1 Snatch Steal, because it's Snatch Steal. Then 1 Wildfire, I only play this at 1, but you have to pay 500 life points to destroy one of your Blaze Accelerators and destroy all monsters on the field, and then you get a Wildfire token. It's a level 3, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, and attack position. You can't declare an attack that turn, so you just basically... I haven't really played this too much. I've only played it like twice in this deck, like actually used it. But in most cases, I just get rid of it with Summer Monk. But you activate it, get rid of your Blaze Accelerators, blow up the field, and then get a token, but you have to pay 500, and it's a quick effect, so you can do it during your opponent's turn if you have a Blaze Accelerator on the field. So you can do your Blaze Accelerator play, send it to the graveyard, because Blaze Accelerator, you can do it during either player's main phase, which is really good. So your opponent summons all their stuff, you activate Blaze Accelerator's effect, send a Volcanic to draw one, and then you can activate this all on the field and just blow up everything, and then get your Wildfire token. So it's really annoying to play around. And then since we do play a lot of continuous traps in this deck, Magic Planner, it's a good option. And then, because I do not like back row, Missile Space Typhoon. Moving on to the traps, of course we have to place at 3. Blaze Accelerator Reload. It's a tongue twister. For those of you who don't know what this card's effect is, like you've been opening some Secrets of Eternity packs and you just kind of grazed over it and said, oh, it's a new Volcanic card, but haven't actually sat down and read its effect, I'll go ahead and give you the TLDR version. Its name is Illustrated Tri-Blaze Accelerator, and during either player's main phase once per turn, you can send a Volcanic card from hand to the graveyard to draw one. You can activate that effect once per turn. And then during either player's main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard. You can send a Volcanic straight from your deck to the graveyard. So if your opponent gets rid of this, or you get rid of it, which the second one seems more likely, you can banish this during your opponent's turn after they've done all their summoning. Send one of your scatter shots straight from the deck to the graveyard, dump the other 2 from your hand or deck, burn them for 15, and wreck deck their field. So it's just crazy how much stuff you can do to disrupt your opponent's plays during their turn, which is awesome. And then 3 Fiendish Chains, pretty self-explanatory. Then of course, since it's a budget card now, 3 Vanity's Coaster, because this card's insanely cheap compared to what it used to be. It's like $4, where it used to be like a $50 card, which is crazy. And 3 Reckless Greed, a little bit more draw power, which setting you not being able to draw for 2 turns isn't that bad, because you have your Blaze Accelerator and Pots of Duality and Royal Firestone Guards, so not being able to draw for 2 turns doesn't really set you back at all. 1 Phoenix Wingman Blast, this card is really helpful. If you don't play this, I highly recommend you should. Plus, discard stuff. It can get rid of your Scatter Shot, or Shell, or whatever. And then lastly, this was my 3rd Pot of Duality, but I took it out. And I thought this was a really interesting card choice when I was looking at deck profiles for Volcanics, and I thought, hey, I might actually have a couple of those, and lo and behold, I did have one. Basically what this is, Spiritual Fire Kurenite is a Ring of Destruction for Pyro monsters. You flip it, tribute a monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the monster's original attack. And what I see it as is a Ring of Destruction for your Volcanic Doomfire or your Rocket. You attack with it, and then flip this, tribute it, and burn them for even more, so it's basically like you attacking again. And that wraps up the main deck. Now, before I get into the extra deck, I'm going to go into the side deck and explain a couple of choices in there. First up, 2 copies of Puppet Plant. Some people play this card, but it's kind of like really weird, because not a lot of people expect it. What this is for Necros, and occasionally I sided it in against Heroes, because there were a lot of Hero decks the day I played this. But you send it, you discard it, and take control of a warrior or spellcaster type monster your opponent controls for that turn only. So in case you haven't seen any Necros decks, all their monsters that they play are warriors or spellcasters, and heroes, they are all warriors. And even if they play Summoner Monk, that's still a spellcaster and you can take it. So it's just a really, really great card. This one. This was going to be another anti-spell fragrance, but I couldn't find one, so I just threw this in just because, but DD Crow, no self-explanatory card. And then, of course, since a lot of decks do special summon, a little bit of extra draw power never hurt anybody, Maxi. And then the only spell, of course, Defissure. And for the traps, because we do play Defissure, also play Macrocosmos. Now, you're probably wondering why I played Defissure and Macrocosmos. Defissure, it's just there for those really grind games. Like, if you're playing a deck that's basically guaranteed to banish all your stuff, you just basically what you go for is your beaters instead of just burning your opponent with Scatter Shot or whatever. I mean, granted, it will set you back a lot further, but if it's against another deck that relies heavily on the graveyard, just play those in, or side those in. And because nobody really likes Cool Fort's Fairy Wind. And then for those Burning Abyss matchups, because they cry when this card gets flipped, Ojama Trio. And I only have one, but I already told you I was going to have it for 2 of. Anti-Spell Fragrance, because Necros, it really slows them down, because they have to set their spell cards a turn before they can activate and risk them getting destroyed by something. So, really, really slows it down. And same with Heroes, because all their Rotas, their E-Calls, their Max Change, it just really hurts them as well. And then for decks that play big beaters, occasionally Heroes, sometimes Necros, and just random Rogue decks. Double Magic Cylinder. And then for Spirit Beast, I actually did see a couple Spirit Beast decks. And for any other random Rogue decks that rely on banishing 2 Imperial Iron Wall. I want to try and get a second hollow one. Just to kind of have matching rarities. And then moving on to the extra deck, we have 1 Love Oval Chain. He's really one of the few rank 4s you have to play. Because you can basically detach one, either place a monster in your deck on top of your deck, or send a card straight from your deck to the graveyard. So basically it's just a quick shell ditch, or what I usually did it for is to get my Royal Firestorm Guards after doing my Scattershot plays, and put it on top of the deck, and then be able to draw Firestorm Guard next turn, summon it, and put all my stuff back and draw 2. And then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Castell, Flagship, Heartland Draco, Anti-Luminescent Knight, Storestorm Roach, Abyss Dweller, Exciton Knight, Photon Palib, 103, Dark Rebellion, and Gaga Cowboy. Now this isn't actually a full extra deck, but there are a few other random card choices I could think of, just nothing too fancy. The only card I can think of off the top of my head that I really want is another Daigusto Emerald. That card's still kind of pricey right now, but I may buy one later, see how that works out. But yeah, it's basically it for my Volcanic deck profile. This deck's really fun to play, especially if you're a fan of older archetypes coming back and just being insane, especially like this. What I call this deck is Turbo Burn, because I did play a burn deck a while back before I could get some competitive stuff after my Harpies got stolen. I just played that. And then I bump up to this, and I was like, wow, this deck's crazy. Because I tested a little bit online and played around with it a little bit. And I really like this deck, and it's just so cool. I actually planned on building this deck before Blaze Accelerator was announced for the OCG. And then I was like, wow, that card's pretty cool. And then I saw a whole bunch of people playing it, and I was just, my mind was blown at how fast it made Volcanics and how it made them tier 1 status from like tier 5 or whatever they used to be. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys later.